Love you too.
Things have been getting wild in the world of Diddy lately, and it's kicked up a notch over the past few days, partly because he was arrested, but also because of some new shocking revelations. Allegedly, his mom, Janice Combs, might have been involved in some of this craziness, and while it's not exactly surprising to some, it still leaves a lot of people with their jaws on the floor.
Diddy is right now, as we speak, at a hospital in Miami. He is there because his mother had to be rushed to that hospital on Wednesday. From what we are told from our sources connected to Diddy, his mother started experiencing chest pains at some point on Wednesday. Uncertain at this point exactly what time, but at some point Wednesday, she was having these pains and made the decision that she needed to go to a hospital, to the emergency room. She lives in Miami, not with Diddy, she has her own residence, but she went to the hospital and was getting treatment there. Diddy did make it to the hospital, went there to be by her side, and she is still in the hospital. We're told that she's gonna be there at least until tomorrow.
Probably for observation. And I gotta say, look,
testing is going on.
We don't know, but I think you guys are probably thinking exactly what we're thinking, which is it just takes its toll.
She's an 83-year-old woman.
Now, to be clear, this isn't an excuse for anything that happened, especially to the victims. But some are wondering if Diddy's own upbringing, with his mom running the house, might have played a part in shaping his behavior. It's like maybe some things besides airplanes were landing in that house, if you catch my drift. I mean, Gene Deal even got fired because he wasn't down like that with Janice.
Did you see the IG live that Puffy and his mom did? And Puffy, he was shouting out Mason, showing him love for, you know, him being a part of the No Way Out album. And, you know, his mom, she cut it in, and, you know, I guess she didn't like him shouting out Mace, and she made a comment telling Mace stop messing with her son or whatever.
I guess mom, she used to always like do innuendos to me. Gene, why you don't never what you call? Gene, why you don't never, Gene, why you don't like this? But I never even, you know, paid her any attention because it's always Miss Combs. It ain't Mama Combs, it ain't Janice, it's Miss Combs. You understand? I gave her that respect. But she used to always throw in the windows, and you know when somebody find you somewhat attractive. And then because I used to get in Puff's ass, because Puff used to be disrespectful around his mother. You understand? I'm glad they got a better relationship and they got a better understanding, because she know I said it before. You understand? When he cursed out, we was getting in a limousine. This when the office was on 19th Street and 5th Avenue. He said, didn't I tell you to stay out of my motherfucking business? He was talking to his mother. And I said, boy, let me tell you something. If I ever hear you cuss your mother again, I'ma beat the shit out you. You ain't gonna bring nothing but bad luck to us. Don't you ever cuss your mother again.
Oh, the story gets even more riveting.
Nigga, gee, but I told her to stay out of my business. Nigga, you wouldn't have no business if it wasn't for her. I'm not playing with you, man. Now you need to apologize to her. She slammed the door, because she was gonna get a limo with us at this time. She just left and went the other way. Now, we was in the office one time. This one time, Justin, she brought some food up. And she like, Gene, I need you to go downstairs and get this food out the truck or the van or whatever she had on down there. I need to get out there. I said, and all these people's in the office. It's 1,000 interns that could have did that shit. But I know she just she wanted to show that she had power over me, and I would never give her no power over me. You understand? Because she used to always ask me to do shit. I know what, you know, she probably really wanted me to do, but I wasn't feeling that. So now, I'm sitting there like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not here for that. So she got all riled up. Everybody do what I tell them to do except you. Who do you think you are? Stuff like that. I said, I'm here for Puff. Anything happen to him while I go down there getting your food, it's a situation. Puff overheard the thing. And Puff came out and said, yo, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. Why you always messing with Gene? Leave Gene alone. This came out his own mouth in his office. And there's people who was there who witnessed the shit. And from that point on,
So we can reasonably establish that Diddy's mom, Janice, was a bit of a wild one, and now there's a lot of speculation that she was caught on tape during Diddy's freak-offs. That is truly disgusting. Quite like this video where Diddy is seen taking IV fluids with his mom. Yes, you read that right. Both of them are hooked up to IVs together and even kissed.
Yeah, my mom's gorgeous. Let me introduce you to my mom, called Mom Dukes.
Hi.
She's getting a drip with me. She's hydrating. What's up, Mom?
Everything's good, baby. I'm here with you.
Yeah,
I love you.
love you too.
My baby.
Mom, freshly dipped though. I was just trying to show you. Yeah, my mom's is single. Mom's is single. I ain't gonna hate on my mom's. She's single. Me and my mom talked about one time doing a dating show with her. And she's so picky. She's so picky, they don't stand. But yeah, that'd be the funniest show in the world.
It will be, especially with me.
I don't even want to get started with you doing that. We're not doing that, cause yeah, my mom's single. Yeah, for real. Mom Duke know how to have a good time. She ain't sitting in the house playing. They outside moving and shaking, baby. She come with me to the strip club. I don't care. For real. It's my dog, you know, I want to live life. Be out here moving and grooving. My mom told me, she just said, keep moving, baby.
That's right.
Keep moving.
Don't stop.
She could touch the floor with her.
Imagine what they must do in private. Recently, a sex worker involved in one of Diddy's infamous freak-off parties has reportedly handed over a tape of the encounter to authorities. According to prosecutors, Diddy allegedly used these freak-offs to supply women with drugs and coerce them into extended sexual acts with male prostitutes. TMZ reports that a male sex worker told federal investigators that Diddy contacted him for one such freak-off session, which involved Diddy, the man, and a woman.
The Diddy information is really interesting because that can be pushed back and seen if he is actually where he was at that time. But the information that he was given during that interview was really interesting because it's all true right now.
Let's talk about what he said in that interview. So Adi claims that Combs is connected to this larger agenda to try and run the world. And as Adi starts to talk about Combs, he reveals something that the detectives really weren't expecting.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard lots of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a sex slave. Okay, for them that's what I was. That's all.
The sex worker shared details about the drugs allegedly used during these sessions and mentioned that one of the encounters was videotaped. He also turned over a copy of this tape to investigators. This particular threesome reportedly took place in May of last year. The male escort flew from Miami to Atlanta, where he claims he engaged in sex with the woman while Diddy filmed the entire event. Here is Gene Deal talking about how it was commonplace for Diddy to be doing this.
So you feel like Diddy was having sex with the male prostitutes?
they had to be for both of them. They was in the room, right?
You're right.
It's a freak-off section, right? She said it's a freak-off section. If she says a freak-off section, brother, she ain't the only one freaking off. The prostitute ain't the only one freaking off. Old boy is freaking off also.
Right. So you think he was letting these guys use their BBCs on him?
I think that, and me just being a trained investigator and reading through the lines of certain things, and one time I had read something that Cassie couldn't take it no more. She told her friend, and this was she was under a non-disclosure and everything like that. She told her friend she couldn't take it no more because she had seen this dude do something. I've heard plenty of stories about him being on a yacht. That same yacht that Kim was on, and the same yacht she got her nose broken on, that somebody was doing something to him when they walked in the room, and it caused a confrontation. This is what somebody who was on the yacht said to me. You understand? They was telling that story to somebody. And it was a female. But my whole thing about it was this, is that anything in that lawsuit, you gotta realize that we only got a portion of it because it's been chopped up. Things has been taken out.
Cassie, she also alleges that, you know, while she was having sex with these male prostitutes, the male prostitutes, and Diddy, they all wore masquerade masks.
He didn't want her to know who they were. So if she ever wanted to do what she just did, how does she say how the person look? All she could describe is if they was wearing masks, unless she saw them before they put the mask on. It's craziness, man. And you know what's so crazy is, bruh, that all these stories has been around the industry for a long time. All these industry people know that Diddy been acting like this and doing this and trying to engage other men into sexual acts with him.
In the wake of Diddy's recent arrest in New York City, images from his wild parties in the early 2000s have resurfaced, including one showing him eating food off a naked woman. The musician now faces serious charges, including sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The charges, which stem from allegations dating back to 2008, accuse Diddy of years of abuse, threats, and coercion against women to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. Authorities also claim they discovered 1,000 bottles of baby oil during searches of his properties, further painting a disturbing picture of the freak-offs. Prosecutors allege that the women involved in these parties were often so exhausted after the long sex sessions that they required IV drips to recover. FBI also found over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant at his mansions, and Gene Deal revealed what it was used for.
Yeah, they also revealed that they found over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant.
All that goes to do is that he like his men's greased up. That's all. He want a greasy, slick situation. That's all that means. It's not against the law to have 1,000 bottles of baby oil. It's not against the law. It just goes to show he like his man greased up.
But why would he have all them bottles of baby oil, though?
It's slippery when it's wet. I don't know, man. Who does that? Who has 1,000 bottles of baby oil? Maybe he got them free. Maybe he had somebody write Johnson & Johnson or whatever like that and say, yo, I really like y'all baby oil. And Johnson & Johnson sent them 999 bottles. He already had one. We don't know, and I don't know, bruh. But it's weird. It's very weird. But I can understand what the help is going through, because like he used to use condoms, and then at the end of the day, or he picked somebody up, or he going to Kim or whatever like that, you know, he'd be like, yo, y'all got any condoms? So I was one of those dudes, I used to keep condoms in my truck for him, because we never knew when this dude was gonna say, yo, I need a condom. And then you could be getting off of work and he could have company and everything like that, and he'll say, yo, I need condoms. So we used to keep boxes of condoms for him.
Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all charges. After his arrest, a judge denied his bail request, even though he offered his and his mother's Miami homes, worth $50 million, as collateral. On Wednesday, his appeal to overturn the bail decision was rejected, meaning Diddy will remain in custody while awaiting trial. It's also alleged that Diddy manipulated and coerced victims into these days-long sexual events, which he called freak-offs. These allegations are a key part of the sex trafficking charges brought against him. Some legal observers have pointed out that prosecutors are increasingly using broader interpretations of sex trafficking laws in cases against powerful individuals. And now those elite rings are coming down.
Yeah, that's crazy. But the feds, they also revealed that they got photos and videos of Diddy freak-offs.
When they did that raid, you understand? What they did was, prior to the raid, they reviewed that civil lawsuit. And that civil lawsuit told, Cassie's civil lawsuit was LeRod had already did it. LeRod hadn't did his yet, did he? Did LeRod do his lawsuit before the raid or after the raid?
Oh, before.
Yeah, so what they did was they reviewed both of those civil lawsuits and found that there was some criminal activity in those lawsuits. We spoke that on Art of Dialogue. We spoke about that on your show. I said if they really wanted him, all they had to do was review those civil lawsuits. And once they find the criminal activity in those, they could bring him in. Now, did the Federal Bureau of Investigation in Miami do it? No, they didn't. Did California do it? No, they did not. The Southern District of New York, they took it upon themselves and put on that raid and everything based on the information they found in Cassie lawsuit and the information they found in Little Rod lawsuit. But all this is bigger than Diddy. It's bigger than Diddy, bro. Cause you know who else they was doing investigation on during that whole time period? It was the mayor and the politicians in New York City.
Good evening, I'm Byron Pitts in New York. We have breaking news this evening. New York Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury, according to sources familiar with the matter. Let's go straight to senior investigative correspondent Aaron Kontersky on the phone with the very latest. Aaron, what can you tell us?
Byron, we just heard a statement from Mayor Adams saying, "I always knew that if I stood my ground for New Yorkers, that I would be a target, and a target I became. If I am charged, I am innocent, and I will fight this with every ounce of my strength and spirit." A statement of defiance a moment ago from Mayor Adams to ABC News after word came that he has been indicted by a federal grand jury in New York. Byron, this follows a 10-month investigation.
The federal law, passed by Congress in 2000, was initially intended to target prostitution rings and pimps. However, in recent years, the charge has been used against figures like Keith Raniere. Notably, Diddy has hired Mark Agnifilo, the same attorney who challenged the government's use of these laws in Raniere's 2019 trial, which ended in a 120-year sentence.
I stopped playing in the system when I got of age, you know what I'm saying? Man, that hurt. 54 years old. That ain't, let me tell you what hurt. The time they gonna come at him with, that's gonna kill him. Nigga, what? At 54, even if they gave you 10 years.
Yeah, you're like, fuck.
Oh, but you know, you looking at way more than that. So guess what? You have, boy. And then you think all your little money, all your, what they call the pills? See, that one, they don't know what a pills is exactly what they call. They gonna peel you for whatever you got left. Oh, he got some more money?
Do you think his lawyer really has his best interest?
Well, you know, nobody lawyer just has their best interest. No, shit, yeah, his best interest is his money. Because his lawyer ain't gonna beat the system, homie.
If convicted, Diddy could face the possibility of spending the rest of his life in prison. For decades, Diddy built a reputation as one of hip-hop's godfathers, shaping the genre and turning himself into a business mogul with an estimated net worth nearing $1 billion. However, that iconic status is now facing a very different kind of spotlight as federal prosecutors charge him in a sweeping sex abuse and racketeering case, which could bring scrutiny to others in his circle. Authorities are using the same racketeering laws that brought down notorious figures like John Gotti and James Whitey Bulger. Diddy now finds himself in a Brooklyn jail, a place familiar to many former mobsters.
According to the Federal Bureau of Prisons, the jail, often referred to as just MDC, houses 1,218 inmates right now, of both genders. But according to Diddy's legal team, the jail is notoriously dangerous and run down. Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, argues there are major issues with the jail, citing violence, poor conditions, overcrowding, and staffing issues. He also cited some startling statistics. 2 inmates have been killed at MDC since this June, and at least 4 inmates have died by suicide over the past 3 years. On top of that, 6 staff members have been charged with criminal activity over the past 5 years. Diddy's team wants him transferred to a different jail in New Jersey, but Judge Carter says it's up to the Federal Bureau of Prisons to make that decision. So for now, MDC is where Diddy calls home. It's usually where defendants are housed after their arrest and as they're awaiting trial in either Manhattan or Brooklyn. But the issues at MDC are so severe that some judges even refuse to send defendants there at all. But even with its less than desirable conditions, MDC is no stranger to high-profile inmates. Previously housing R. Kelly, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Sam Bankman-Fried, who's actually there right now, that he's spoken briefly to his children over the phone. Diddy has 7 children, ranging in age from 33 to 23 months old. According to reports, Diddy is concerned about how his kids are handling his arrest and detainment. And meanwhile, they're allegedly in a state of crisis after only experiencing Diddy as a loving, devoted father. Meanwhile, there are other reports that Diddy has stopped eating. This could be because he isn't enjoying the food, but it also could be because he's paranoid that someone is out to get him and may slip poison into his food. But is that likely or even possible? And what are the perils of MDC, especially for a high-profile defendant?
Here is what OG Percy thinks will happen to Diddy in prison.
He was actually killed in prison. I don't know what's going on in Diddy's head. I don't know, if it's the food that's being bad, if he's not eating it, or there's some other fears going on there. But generally, the food in prison is not palatable per se, and that could be the reason why, if that's true.
Diddy's team has made it super clear that they do not want their client there at MDC. Is it possible that he's transferred to a different facility ahead of trial?
I would imagine that P. Diddy's defense team, Mark Agnifilo, and his team would be doing everything and anything to try to get Diddy out, right? They would probably be appealing, and I believe they are, the remand of Diddy and trying to get him out in a less restrictive and non-custodial.
They are very much treating this matter like a mobster case and articulating various roles that different people played in supporting the conspiracy, explained Louis Shapiro, a defense attorney who specializes in federal criminal cases. While prosecutors have been tight-lipped about the next steps in the case, they've pointed fingers at Diddy's employees and associates, accusing them of assisting and covering up his actions. If I were a celebrity who participated in one of Combs' freak-offs, I would be shaking in my boots, said Naama Rahmani, a former federal prosecutor. At best, they're a witness in a case that is very likely going to trial. At worst, they're a co-defendant.
The question is, how long is this guy going to live in prison? Because I promise you, at his quote-unquote freak-off parties, he had celebrities and politicians and folks there participating with him. There's going to be some high-level athletes. There's going to be some high-level politicians that are going to be named. This list is not going to be as protected as the Epstein list.
Oh, no.
Because the Epstein list had people in high positions of power and authority in governments. His is different. His is in the celebrity world. And I think you're going to be shocked at who goes down.
See, they're willing to throw him to the dogs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't think there'll be some weird murder mystery with P. Diddy.
You think he'll just die an
No.
old man in prison?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, no, he
Absolutely.
died.
I don't think he faces the same risk as Epstein did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like I said, with Epstein, you have some, that list is shocking. Out of everything that comes out in this world, that list has still been protected.
Mm-hmm.
We all know there was a plane that flew to Epstein Island that had high-level people on it, and they protected those people to the point where Epstein died in prison under remarkably questionable circumstances. P. Diddy's a little different because it's high-level wealthy celebrities. You will get some low-level politicians, but you're not going to get the high-level politician participating in a Diddy freak-off party. What you're going to have are some athletes, and just look at some of the TikTok videos at who the athletes are that were constantly around P. Diddy at the height of his career, and they're going to be on that list.
Wow.
Well, and they got friends in jail, though, so they can go ahead and get some things
They can,
silenced.
but it's a little different. I mean, a high-level politician has some access to some different stuff in jail
Sure,
than
sure.
maybe, pick a celebrity name. They don't really run in the dark circle. They may be dark in their mind and their soul, but they're not running down there where you can get somebody to do something, somebody in prison. But this case is going to extend way, way beyond P. Diddy. He's the point of the spear, more to follow.
Shapiro mentioned that the government has already interviewed more than 50 witnesses and executed 300 warrants, indicating the case goes well beyond the dozen or so women who have filed sexual abuse allegations against Diddy. Many of these claims emerged after his former girlfriend, Cassandra Cassie Ventura, filed a lawsuit last fall, which Diddy settled within 24 hours for a substantial amount. And it's a good thing he did, because a lot of shocking things like this would have come out if not.
New surveillance footage obtained exclusively by CNN appears to corroborate some of the allegations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. The video, captured on multiple cameras, shows Combs assaulting his then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a hallway at a Los Angeles hotel in March 2016. A lawsuit filed by Ventura in November last year and settled the next day referenced actions that seem to match those seen in this video. There is no audio. According to the complaint, Combs became extremely intoxicated and punched Miss Ventura in the face, giving her a black eye, which according to the lawsuit prompted Ventura to try and leave the hotel room. The surveillance video obtained by CNN begins as she enters the hallway. The complaint says as she exited, Mr. Combs awoke and began screaming at Miss Ventura. He followed her into the hallway of the hotel while yelling at her. The complaint goes on to say he grabbed her and then took glass vases in the hallway and threw them at her. In the surveillance video, Combs can be seen grabbing Ventura and throwing her to the ground. As Ventura lies on the ground, Combs then kicks her twice and attempts to drag her on the floor back to the hotel, picking up a hotel phone. Combs seems to walk back to the hotel room, then returns and appears to shove her in a corner. Moments later, he can be seen throwing an object in her direction. According to Ventura's now settled lawsuit, the pair began dating several years after they met in 2005. They parted ways in 2019. Combs' attorney said the decision to settle was in no way an admission of wrongdoing. Ventura declined to comment on the video, but her attorney told CNN the gut-wrenching video has only further confirmed the disturbing and predatory behavior of Mr. Combs. Words cannot express the courage and fortitude that Miss Ventura has shown in coming forward to bring this to light. The video hasn't been seen publicly before and comes on the heels of a series of civil lawsuits alleging Combs' involvement in sex trafficking and sexual abuse.
Several former colleagues of Diddy have reportedly met with federal prosecutors, and at least one sex worker is expected to testify in a potential grand jury proceeding. As for whether more charges will be filed or if others will be implicated, prosecutors are keeping things open. "I can't take anything off the table. Anything is possible," said Damian Williams, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, during the indictment announcement. "Our investigation is very active and ongoing." Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson, speaking in court last week, also highlighted the threat Diddy may pose to witnesses.
and also alleges other acts of violence undertaken by Combs and others, including violence against witnesses to his abuse, kidnapping, and arson. The indictment alleges that on more than one occasion, Combs carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten victims and witnesses. Now, Combs did not do this all on his own. As I mentioned, Combs has been charged with RICO conspiracy. He used his business and employees of that business and other close associates to get his way. Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business, personal assistants, security staff, and household staff. The indictment alleges that those individuals facilitated the freak-offs.
Unfortunately for him, though, I don't think he's going to survive the jury's inevitable decision.
Any chance, because we've talked about this before, that this private person has more money than the federal government's willing to spend on a trial. Is there any chance that he walks away from this without spending the rest of his life in prison?
I don't think so. The federal government is going to make an example of this one because this is so egregious and he's been doing it for so long and he has manipulated and ruined so many lives. And then when you throw the firearm charges into it, I promise you there's going to be racketeering. There's going to be economic stuff. He's lied on taxes. There's going to be a number of things he's done that they can hit him with. The video evidence, I think, is going to be overwhelming. The issue comes down to this. There's going to be a jury that hears all this evidence, and that jury is going to be made up of parents. And when some of this video evidence comes out of some of these things being done to some of these women and men, you're going to have some parents sitting on that jury thinking, I'd put a bullet in it myself if they would let me. And that type of anger that will rise up, that's the same thing that drives big verdicts in civil litigation cases, is when a jury gets angry about what's happened. Jury doesn't always care about an individual plaintiff or an individual cause of action because it doesn't affect them day to day. But if they feel like their verdict is going to resonate and make the world safer for them or their own family, or if they become angry at the conduct of the defendant, you can get a very large verdict. It happens all the time. In a criminal setting like this, if you can get some jurors on there that halfway through this jury are just crossing their arms and they are just ready to deliver justice, justice is going to be delivered.
Diddy plans to argue that all participants in his freak-offs gave their consent, and he's gearing up to go on the offensive against federal prosecutors. Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, is taking a strong stance, accusing the government of unfairly targeting the rapper because of his success. In the TMZ documentary, TMZ Presents The Downfall of Diddy, Agnifilo claimed, they're making the case, in my opinion, as a takedown of a successful black man. He elaborated, saying, if he's not a big celebrity, he's just going about his life without interference from the U.S. government. He's a man who's built some of the most important businesses owned by a black man. His businesses are fine. He pays his taxes. He does everything right. We're going to go into his bedroom because maybe we don't like the way he's having. Agnifilo continued. We have reduced him to being a monster. With this defense, it seems Diddy's legal team is gearing up for a fight, positioning the case as a broader attack on his success and reputation. But unfortunately for the diddler, he has been hit with yet another lawsuit.
The internal pain after being sexually assaulted has been incredibly deep and hard to put into words. It goes beyond just physical harm caused by and during the assault. It's a pain that reaches into your very core of who you are.
Yet another woman has come forward and said that she was essayed by Diddy. This is from today. Her name is Thalia Graves, and she is the 11th person to come forward and accuse Diddy of essay. I'm gonna read what I can of this story to you, but trigger warnings across the board. It's a really bad story. So Graves says that she became friendly with Diddy via Bad Boy Entertainment. Her boyfriend was an executive. She attended parties at Diddy's house, and she visited her boyfriend at Daddy's house, which is what Diddy calls his studio. Her boyfriend is not named in the lawsuit. So Diddy calls Thalia and he asks her to meet up to discuss her boyfriend's supposed performance issues. She already knew Diddy, she didn't have any bad experiences, and she wanted to help her boyfriend, so she agreed to meet with him. Diddy shows up at her house in an SUV with his bodyguard Big Joe. She gets in the car, he gives her a glass of wine. By the time they arrived back at the studio, Graves said that she was struggling to walk and that she lost consciousness shortly after. Here's where it gets really bad. So, trigger warning. So, when she came to, she claims that she was naked and bound with her hands tied behind her back with what felt like a plastic grocery bag. She shouted for help, and Big Joe allegedly slammed her face down into a pool table. Big Joe is Joe Sherman. She said that shortly after that, Diddy entered the room naked. He then bent her over the table, causing her feet to dangle above the floor, forcibly held her down, and was unable to move, totally overpowered physically, and also obviously she was drugged. Graves said that she screamed out in pain, but that Diddy ignored her and continued the violent assault, even going as far as to smash her head into the pool table when she tried to escape. She says that she lost consciousness again, and when she awoke, Sherman allegedly slapped her multiple times and forced her to perform duties with her mouth. Sometime later, she claims she woke up on a couch, naked and alone. She alleges that she was in intense pain and burning sensations, bruising on her face and her wrists. She says that she was still dizzy and weak. She called a driver that she knew well. The driver drove her to the hospital and tried to convince her to report the assault and get a kit done, but she was unable to leave the car. She was absolutely terrified of what Diddy would do to her and her family if she reported it. She then told her boyfriend, who discouraged her from going forward because it would negatively impact his career. The entire thing was videotaped, and allegedly Diddy sold that tape. The boyfriend has confirmed that he had seen the tape, but he says that in the portion that he saw, only Big Joe was.
Now, the people are baying for blood. One person tweeted, "Diddy should die. I have nothing politically correct to say about men like that." Another person added, 50 Cent says a lot of celebrities aren't saying anything about Diddy's arrest because they participated. This person said on Reddit, "I'm glad they caught him finally, cause bro was running around Harlem recently and MFs were saying no Diddy to him like shit was sweet." Also, I'm expecting a Nino Brown type of moment to come out of this. From the moment Cassie said something, I was prepared for a, if he goes down, everybody goes down with him moment. Some of the names already mentioned in the last 10 months since then, from Aaron Hall to Ne-Yo and Usher, whether they participated or simply witnessed his abuse and minded their business, is already crazy. What do you think will happen next? Let us know in the comments below.